Can anyone hear us?
I can hear you.
All right, perfect. The time is 7:01 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. Maybe have roll call, please.
Mayor Reichel,
Here.
Pro Tem Hanrahan,
Here.
Trustee Brentno,
Here.
Trustee Klassen,
Here.
Trustee Engelhardt,
Here.
Trustee Sanchez,
Here.
Trustee Seifert.
Here.
All right, may we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, be seated. All right, the first item on tonight's agenda is public comments. Persons desiring to make a public comment on items not on the agenda, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any emails or phone calls in regards to non-agenda items?
No, sir, I did not hear from anyone.
Okay,
I do not show any raised hands, Mr. Mayor.
thank you very much.
I did not have anybody sign up, but we do have a bunch of people. I'm assuming they're here for agenda items.
Okay, is anyone here for non-agenda items? Do you want to sign up to speak? You're just here? Okay, all right. Awesome, thank you very much, okay. All right, then, moving right along, the next item on the agenda is the consent agenda, which contains the minutes of the January 26th, 2026 Board of Trustees meeting. Item 2 is the renewal of the retail liquor store license for Blue Inc., doing business as Columbine Liquor. And item 3, an agreement for professional services between the town of Silt and Zancanella and Associates as water wastewater consulting engineers. Would anyone like to discuss any of those separately or make a motion?
I just have a question on Zanella. I guess I don't remember, are the prices the same, the rates that change at all, or?
They've gone up a little bit. It's a moderate increase. Less than 10%.
Oh, okay, that's, just,
Okay. Any other comments or questions?
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Trustee Seifert to approve the consent agenda as presented, seconded by Trustee Clausen. All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next up, any conflicts of interest with any agenda items tonight from board members?
No, sir.
Nope. I have none either. How about any agenda changes by staff or the board? Nothing?
No, sir.
Okay. Then next up is the Coleridge Booster Club request for donation with Rochelle Williams.
Hello.
Hello.
How are we this evening? Good.
Well, how are you doing?
Good. So we were here last year asking for money, which you so generously donated. So we thought we'd come back and ask again. Plan on seeing me next year. I dropped a couple papers off with Sheila, so I'm sure that those made it to the appropriate person. We had a couple things that we were gonna ask for, one of them being hurdles for our track program, but those have all been funded, so we don't need those. What I would love to see, though, is a Town of Silt sign on our football field, maybe in the gym. The Town of Newcastle has signs there, so it would be great to have the Town of Silt representing as well. I'm gonna venture to say about half of the Coleridge students have a Silt address. So just because Coleridge has a Newcastle address, about half of those kids are from here. So it would be great if we could have some Town of Silt representation on our football field or in our gym, baseball field, soccer field. Sky's the limit. So I would love for you guys to take that into consideration. And I will leave this other form here with you, just in case the other one is somewhere in the atmosphere. So I'll give this to whoever would like it, but we would love to see some representation from the Town of Silt. You guys are on our our Titan Court, which is right by the concession stands out on the football field, and that's awesome. Love that. But the town of Newcastle sign is really needing some competition. So we'd love to see a
Well,
town
we
of
can't
Silt
let
sign.
them show us up.
We're
can
being
we?
shamed.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you very much, Chris.
So,
Okay.
just
How
a
secure
question,
is
what
the
does the
sign?
money we give you go for, just roughly? I mean, I
The
don't need-
money comes to the Booster Club, and we take care of clubs that ask for any type of equipment, the athletes, robotics, student council when they need stuff, just any type of organization within our school that comes to us and presents any type of request. That's what we do. That's what we take care of.
But it's student-focused.
Student-focused, absolutely.
And what is the donation level to get a sign in the gym?
A sign in the gym or on the football field, just one sign is $1,000. And that'll stay up as long as you renew it, which is $500 per year. You can have two signs for $1,500. And it goes up from there.
Gym and the football
Football
field,
field or?
which is
Yes.
basketball and everything else.
Yeah, the gym is basketball, volleyball. Lots of people see that. Lots of people are gonna see it on the football field or the baseball field or the soccer field, wherever you choose to put one.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, since we're being shamed, how many signs?
I grew up here, I'm not
How
shaming
how many
anybody.
signs does Newcastle have?
I know they have one on the football field. Do you guys know if they have one in the gym?
I will text the group right now.
Well, if we go for 3, we know we have them beat.
We could do the Mega Titan, we could see it on the interstate as you go by, it'd be a big sign there, a big 8 by 15, 16 lit up sign.
Any other questions?
Are we considered a returning donor? Is that, it looks like there's 2 different
Not
groups.
yet. Once you put a sign out there, you will be a returning
So we got no sign last year.
donor. No
for
sign
last year's donation.
Well, last year you guys donated to our Titan Court, which was the concrete that we used in front of the concession stands that we just had built for our football field. So those are new out there. Come see a football game next year and you guys will see all of that. You've been out there, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I know, Keith, you've been out
I've
there,
been out there,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, a couple of you have been out there. So it looks really nice. All the sponsors' names are on the building, so they don't get stepped on. The original plan was to put them on the concrete, and we changed that to put them up on the building, so it looks really nice.
So this sign would be different than the other money we give you?
Correct.
It's
The
separate. Okay,
signs
I
on
just
the
checked.
football field are about yay big. The signs in the gym are about the size of your Silt sign in front of the mirror.
Okay.
Does Amy know what we currently have in the budget?
I'm sure she knows what we have in the budget, but the
budget.
budget is a big number.
We don't, I don't believe we specifically have a line item
We do
for
not.
Coleridge
It would come out of your discretion.
out of the general. Yes.
And what did you give them last year?
Last year was $1,000.
Okay.
And that was to get onto that court thing for the,
Yes, that was for the Titan
and that was
Court.
just a one-time deal, and now we're on that. That's
Correct.
done.
Right.
So I mean, I would be definitely okay doing the 15 for the sign, do the football and the basket in the gymnasium, which is the silvers is the 15, and then because then returning after that, it's
Is
only
7.
$750, but then we probably would do a little bit extra just because. I mean, or we could just do the $750, I guess, but.
Thank you, Trustee Britnell. Can I have
I'm
a
saying
second?
1,500 for the 2 signs
This year.
plus
No,
additional for.
No, I'm saying the
or just that?
1,500 is,
Okay.
because that'd be for the 2 signs, that's, I'm just saying, and for next year though, we wouldn't have, to maintain our signs, it's just $750 per year
Gotcha.
after that. But
Yeah,
I'm
we
get-
just have
but
to buy the sign once, and as
Yes.
long as you keep donating, the sign stays
Sign
up.
stays up. If we don't give money, they take it down and burn it.
Well, we don't burn it, we just hope that
front of
we can talk
Newcastle.
you into
Shame us.
donating
Yeah.
again.
They actually, they give it to the town of Newcastle and they get to use it as bullet practice for the police department.
So the money from the sign does the same thing, goes to the same funds?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that's what that
Yes,
goes for.
thank you.
I would also be supportive of the 1,500 for 2 signs in the football and basketball court. And then, yeah, in future years, building in that 750 on an ongoing basis to maintain those. As a Coleridge alumni myself, actually, I think it's been a great school that's done a lot for the community and continues to really do a lot of great work in how they've expanded programs and offerings to our students. So I'm very supportive of what these funds eventually go to and some of the different programs that they do.
And so if we, like, next year gave 1,000, or we could, you know, do a little more than 750 and maybe negotiate a third sign next year or something like that.
We are open to negotiating, of
You know,
course.
if we could, like, because we do like consistent.
I like where this is going.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
I think
that's
like,
good.
so like what we do is.
But we like consistent
Yeah.
number.
Yeah, but like for the 15 would get us the 2 signs this year. Next year, it's 750 to renew the 2, but we could add a third, so it'd be like 1750, but we get a third sign. So then the year after that, you'd be, well, but then after that, you'd be going to renewal. The renewal would be 1,000 every year to maintain those 3 signs.
Yeah, that's,
So
yeah,
that'd be kind of a neat way to build it. And
I don't know, whatever you.
or if
guys
we're
think.
slim one year, we just keep the 2. We don't add a sign next year. See what happens.
I'm fine with 1,500. I agree with Trustee Sanchez. A lot of our students from Silt are going to benefit from this donation. It's not an abstract outcome. You know, that whether it's scholastic, athletic, robotic. You had me at robotic.
Said the right word.
This is us helping our own students effectively.
Yeah.
Correct. And we just got confirmation that the town of Newcastle does have one sign in the gym as well. So they do have 2 signs.
So I'm in support of the 1,500. Only if Newcastle, if they don't pay, we get their sign.
They're very, very generous and they pay every year, so you just have to keep up.
I think 1,500 is fine. I would probably be, I would go out on a limb and say, you know, we're gonna be Silt, we might as well be at all 4 fields.
Ooh, I was only thinking
Instead
3
of picking and
signs, but
choosing
now,
what
now you're
sports
going 4.
we represent, so. And like Michelle said, half those kids that go to that school are residents. And I don't even know what percentage of Coleridge kids participate in extracurricular activities, but it is a huge number.
There's a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
And I know it also states in here that like the hurdles are 20 years old.
Yes.
The sports equipment in that building gets used and abused because it also gets used for rec sports, which are even kids that aren't in high school use some of that equipment. So
Last weekend I was there and the cheer squad, which is amazing, I'm sure y'all know, state champions, how many years in a row? All of them.
All the years.
They had the littles out there teaching them and they had all the mats in the commons. It was really cute, so.
Last year's discretionary fund for the trustees, was it completely utilized or was there a remaining amount? Because I would be supportive of going more. I don't know if this could be an initial request and then at the couple months before the start of the year come back. But if there was some left over, then I would be more than happy to go to the 4 signs because I also think supporting all sports equally is another great show from the town to say, right, whichever sport you choose, if you're taking that time, you know, we're going to be here to support that. So.
If I recall, we exhausted our discretionary donation funds last
but
year.
Even, I
That
mean,
does, again, the budget is fungible. As long as we don't go over the gross dollar amount for the entire budget,
Right.
we're okay.
and then next year renewing it would only be $1,250.
To maintain the signs.
Right, so
We
I
would
would
need
support
have
that.
twice as many
for
signs as Newcastle.
yes.
I don't really think it's about competing with Newcastle, but I think that
It can be it can be both.
I mean,
whatever gets us to support the school,
Yeah,
right?
it can be both.
You'll be placing our sign higher than Newcastle.
Higher.
And slightly bigger.
The signs on the football field are all in a row.
yeah.
The signs in the gym are staggered. I'll see what I can do.
Well, you can just hang ours over Newcastle.
Make theirs kind of crooked.
I'm not in charge of hanging the signs, but I'll see what I can do.
I have a ladder, I'll volunteer.
You volunteer.
Okay. Any other questions?
No?
Well, if we have any questions, we'll just figure out
Yeah.
how much.
My understanding that you are asking us to effect the donation of $1,500 to get 2 signs. The silver.
I was asking to do the Titan and get all 4 signs.
There should be a motion so that we are clear on our direction.
Direction.
And so,
We're supportive of the Titan level as well for the 4 signs. I don't know if there are others that are willing to go to that.
Make a motion.
You wanna make the
Make
motion?
a motion.
Alumni of the high school.
Okay, well,
Is that a
I'll make a
conflict of
motion to approve a donation to the Coleridge Booster Club in the amount of $2,500 for the year 2026.
I'll second.
Motion by Trustee Engelhardt to appropriate $2,500 to the Coleridge Booster Club, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Hanrahan. All's in favor?
Aye.
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 All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you all. We appreciate that so much. And I know that you have this paper because I gave it to Sheila and she's,
Yeah, we've got it in
Yes,
the
it's,
package.
yeah, right.
we
up
will
there.
take care of it.
everybody has it. Thank you guys.
It should be on the screen, is it not?
It
I'll
is.
follow along.
And
Thank you,
someone
Sheila.
can let us know when those signs are hung.
Absolutely.
Be great as a, maybe just a
Yes, we'll
note to
take
the
pictures
staff.
and I'll send them to Sheila.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, next up is resolution number 7, series 2026. A resolution of the town of Silt, Colorado, approving a major subdivision sketch plan for property owned by Casas Investment LLC, located at 32958 Versa Frontage Road, Silt in Garfield County, known as the Heron's Nest Annexation, into the municipal boundaries of the town of Silt, Colorado. This is a public hearing, but I will turn it over to Director Centeno.
Perfect. I am going to give a quick overview, and I know that this came in front of the trustees previously as an introduction to the sketch plan, so I don't think we're gonna hit on every single topic. This meeting is more of a formality to, our code requires a resolution for sketch plan, which is something that we are going to amend out of our code, because a sketch plan really needs to be listed as a discussion item, not a resolution approving the sketch plan. So, on January 12th of 26, the Board of Trustees approved Resolution 4, Series 2026 for findings of fact. Before we go to final annexation, we need to develop the annexation and development agreement, and we need to solidify zoning with the plan unit development that they are proposing. In order to know exactly what needs to be in the annexation and development agreement and planned unit development, which I'll refer to as a PUD, we need additional direction on a couple of items, which is why we are doing the sketch plan, to give the trustees and the commissioners more information so that we can receive feedback and have a better idea of the direction that we need to move for the development agreement. The staff report includes some of the same basic information with the comprehensive plan, the zoning, and the code requirements for sketch. I did want to highlight the planning commission comments. On Tuesday, what was last Tuesday? Last Tuesday, the 3rd, the planning commission did review the sketch plan and did recommend approval to the Board of Trustees unanimously, but had very valuable feedback that I wanted to make sure that we were able to, do you have the meeting pulled up?
What are you looking for?
Somebody needs to mute.
It was,
I don't-
That was just me.
Okay.
Okay.
I wanted to catch it before we got too deep into it. So within the planning commission meeting, there was a question as to the purpose of the sketch plan and if it was binding. And as I just discussed, the sketch plan approval by the Board of Trustees is not binding. So you're just saying, yes, we approve for you to move forward and continue with this application and take our feedback and create the preliminary plan that'll come back in front of the Planning Commission and trustees.
And really, our legal team has said that this is kind of overkill and we're not gonna always require this step.
Absolutely, yep. So when we rewrite Titles 16 and 17, we will remove the resolution requirement from the sketch plan. I did give an overview of what the sketch plan needs to include, which is overall feasibility, general conformance with the town's governing documents. If a PUD is requested, the applicant is seeking deviations from existing regulations. So inevitably, it's not going to conform with the current town codes because they're asking for something different. We review neighborhood compatibility, and we review overall space and available square footage to accommodate open space circulation, parking, and development. What the sketch plan will not include is referral comments, because again, this is just very basic concept. There's not enough here for our referral agencies to do a full evaluation of what's submitted because engineering is not complete. So once they get to preliminary plan, that's when we do a larger overview evaluation of what is submitted, and that would include the referral comments at that point in time. Sketch plan does not include the agreement language. We develop the agreement language based off of the feedback that we get at sketch for the annexation agreement and the PUD and the subdivision improvement plan. The annexation agreement is at times already established by this point in time that somebody comes in for sketch, but you all get to weigh in on the annexation agreement based off of the sketch plan with this development. It is not existing yet, so that is a bonus. Engineering will not be looked at during sketch plan. Architectural design does not get looked at sketch plan, and neither do construction details. And then the second thing is that the Planning Commission was questioning was the comprehensive plan designation, because it is designated as recreational commercial space. And I just wanted to point out that despite housing not being included in the recreational commercial space, this parcel has been identified for future land use designation changes as part of the 26 comp plan update. This site is located on a dead-end street. It has low visibility to the interstate or town, really, and it does not make it a primary commercial development location that people are going to want to go and develop. So based off of that and the housing needs assessment, this parcel in particular is going to better support housing designations rather than commercial designation. As far as the recreation side, there is approximately 5 acres that'll be designated as open space and recreational. So that it does include the recreational part of that designation that it currently holds. And there's also jurisdictional and protected wetlands that the applicant is being mindful of. The proposal also does include commercial space along the river frontage road. And then the next point that was brought up by the Planning Commission was the river trail needing to be paved. And that was not something that the applicant was hesitant to do. So that's as part of the development agreement, we'll hone in on some of those aspects and details of what that looks like. And then continuing on with trails, there was a question about interconnecting trails, and the applicant is proposing the river trail, but the Planning Commission wants to make sure that there's connectivity to the north of the river frontage road trail that's going to be developed as well. And then there was discussion about long-term and short-term RV use. And the application proposes to have the remaining, or the existing RVs, plus a few, remain for that use for up to 14 years. There is significant concern among the Planning Commission about the longevity of the long-term usage of the RV, and they're hesitant to have the short-term designation for the RV as well. And with that being said, we are, the town staff and our town engineers meeting with the applicant tomorrow and their development crew to go over the annexation and development agreement talking points as well as the PUD. So any direction that the board can give on the negotiations for the long-term and short-term RV usage would be beneficial for our conversations tomorrow. There was also discussion about road ownership and maintenance responsibilities. Those will be further discussed in our annexation and development agreement conversation tomorrow. And then it was brought up that there was concern over snow storage adjacent to the river, and that'll be addressed at preliminary plan, but will also be, it'll be on the forefront of staff's mind and the applicant's mind as far as making sure that there's no snow storage adjacent to the river. There was also conversation about land lease rental versus ownership. Again, this is something that staff would appreciate the board giving us direction on that'll help guide our conversations for tomorrow's meeting as well. And then there was conversation about governance and who's going to govern the property if it is a land lease. Is it an HOA? Is it a property manager? And what does that look like? And so that's just discussion for the planning commissioner that brought that up. Just wanted to make sure that it was said and it was being talked about, but it's not. And he even said it's not pertinent to what is included in sketch plan, but that he would definitely love for that to be part of the conversation. Overall, staff finds that the application and proposal for the sketch plan meet the criteria in the municipal code. I did give a little bit of an updated breakdown of the timing that we're hoping to move this project forward, subject to change, and how quickly our conversations on the annexation and development agreement go and the PUD. But overall, staff does believe that it's beneficial for this parcel and application to come into the town boundaries. And there is some basic recommendations of approval, including that representations made be considered part of the application and binding, that the applicant provides additional requested documents, that the referral agency comments be met, which again will happen more at the preliminary plan side, and that it's not for construction. There's also a recommended motion, and after the staff report, there is the resolution that has the recommended conditions of approval as well. And the whole application is attached to the staff report, as well as the PowerPoint presentation that the applicant put together and presented at the last meeting that they were in front of the Board of Trustees. But I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, and the applicant, even though they're not going to go through the full sketch plan proposal again like they did the last time, they're happy to answer any questions that you might have as well.
I do agree with the planning commission. 14 years is just too long.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want people displaced unreasonably, but I don't want to permit 14 years of housing that's not up to what would otherwise be code, I guess. Balancing that somehow. 14 years seems like a long time.
Yeah, I 100% agree that 14 years is way, way too long. I brought up at the last meeting that, A, if those are long-term staying campers, we're not getting lodging taxes from it, and we're also not getting property tax from it. And that's the reason to annex a piece of property, is because we are going to get property taxes or or sales tax or something out of it and giving that up for 14 years. And it's not, it's also, there's in the applications, adding, it says that they're gonna add additional long-term RV spaces. Not just leave what's there, but add more long-term RVs. I have a concern just for, if you own a home, you have homeowner's insurance. If you have a camper, you have automotive insurance. If one of those isn't insured and it lights up on fire and takes out the whole neighborhood, who's responsible for that? Who pays for that? I don't think some of those units over there will not last 14 more years standing in the condition that they're in. There's some of those that I would be surprised if they last 2 more years in the condition that they're in. And we also have these documents keep listing this as an RV park, and that's not an RV park. An RV park, people come in, they stay for a period of time, which we have rules that govern an RV park just down the road from this one. This is a non-conforming use that we have to decide if we want to be annexed into town. I've got a bunch of things written out. I don't know if someone else wants to.
No, I mean, I have thoughts
Rock and
too,
roll,
but
yeah.
yes.
I'm in the same place. 14 years is way too long, and if we look at the condition that it's in now, it's probably a good indicator of what it may be 14 years from now. And we can look across the street right here on 7th and see another instance where long-term RV-based mobile park type housing, it just doesn't work anymore. Those structures are not built to last as long. I think if we're going to do an affordable housing element within the development, it should be a different structure. It shouldn't be RVs. If we have to do RVs, then it should be short-term for exactly the reasons you mentioned, which I was going to bring up, but you've now stolen. So thanks for that. No, I'm in complete agreement. Long-term RVs is not an effective solution for the town, and I don't think it's an effective solution for many of the residents either.
Yeah.
I think there are other options that are more robust, that are cost-effective, that they will have insurance, and that we will be able to generate property tax from. So it's something where with some compromise, all parties can come out ahead. This can get done, but with certain restrictions on that particular area.
I will say, I like the end goal of the project a lot. It's something I think will be beneficial to the town, just the path that we're going to get there.
I agree. I think, right, as you guys have mentioned, the short-term versus long-term and the issues, with the long-term, the benefits of the short-term, but then converting the long-term to short-term in the RV, right? I mean, that's problematic for anybody who's currently there, and what's the best way? I don't think the 14 years makes sense, but, to tell somebody 2 years you're converting from, long-term to short-term RV, that feels too sudden. So I'm myself am trying to grapple with what would be a time frame where I could see that transition from long-term to short-term. And yeah, I don't have a number, but that's kind of where I'm sitting at the moment. But I agree. I think the application's great. I think it's doing a lot of goods, and I think this continues to kind of be the sticking point myself for some of the reasons kind of mentioned. So trying to find a way to really, I think, dial this in would give me comfortability, as this moves forward.
If it's a phased build-out, instead of picking a certain number of years, we could tie it to a phase. Right, 4 phases, if I recall,
Yes.
under the current project plan. So give them enough runway to get through phases 1 and 2. And I'm being hypothetical here as an example. Okay, by the end of phase 2's build-out and approval and occupancy, that's the point in time at which this is no longer a viable option to have. That way, we're not just throwing a dart at a calendar saying X number of years, because we don't know what the pace of construction and completion is going to be. This gives both sides that flexibility while still having a point in time at which we're gonna go, that's it.
Yeah, I think we'd have to be very careful how you say that, because if you,
It could take
If they wanna
15
buy
years to do
time
two
and they-
phases.
to do.
I'm not saying it would,
That's what
but
lawyers are for.
It's possible, yeah.
Where you build out 90% of it and then stop and leave the long-term RVs in place.
Yeah,
So,
we'd have
yeah.
to look at what is contained in each phase, and then at that point, make a decision, okay, that approximately aligns with the outcome. I mean, we all want to get to the same finish line here, we just have disagreements and room to wiggle on how we get there.
well, my understanding has been from the past conversations, I think that the 14 years isn't necessarily a goal of keeping that over there for 14 years. As it is, it's a financial income coming in guaranteed for the 14 years to be able to finance the rest of the stuff. Is that my understanding? And so if the pace of some of that stuff is quicker, they're not planning, they don't want to keep it that long, but they want to be able to. So that way, if other things are moving slow, they have that nest egg to keep it afloat, and so that the project doesn't fail.
Yeah.
Which I mean, so
But that's also my concern. They're basing their financing on rental spaces for RVs. I mean,
Sounds like they've been
that's a
consistent.
concern of mine.
And I was curious, what's the benefit of the long-term RV situation, but I think trustee Britnell sort of hit on why you're wanting to encourage that right now. So I understand that. I mean, I prefer in my mind, I guess I prefer the short-term RV thing because I feel like it's better for.
one that's more what an RV park is designed for,
Right.
is short term. It's not designed
It's-
to be someone's home for, but there are people that, and I don't want to denigrate or
Right.
criticize anybody for having a home, having a place that they call a home, because that's important too.
But
And
housing's
so we're
really
trying to be
tough.
sensitive of that and balance the needs of the community by being able to collect the taxes and the things that we need to be able to function and continue to do things for the town as well.
Yeah, no, I'm not, in favor of kicking them people out, for sure, but it's the scenario that you don't want to mention. If that thing catches fire, then finance is gone. And what happens to the project? Does the project just stall out and die because some unfortunate event like that? I mean, I like the project. It's just the trailers or the RVs, that's the sticking point for me, because, the 14 years. And yes, I understand you're going for PUD, and all of that, but at the same time, it's almost you setting a precedent to where, okay, yes, and not everybody's going to understand it's a PUD. They're going to be like, well, why can't I have a trailer in my backyard? Because the town just annexed a whole bunch of them there. So if the town's annexing property that has that, why can't I have them in my backyard? Because in town, I know of like 4 or 5 places that have trailers in their backyards, and they are skirted, and people are living in them. I don't want that to become, more of an incentive for people to break the rules, even though it's going to be PUD. And I know the PUD, it's considered multifamily, but I mean, it's an RV park. I mean, when does an RV park become multifamily? I mean, it's always going to be an RV park, but I don't want to kick the people out. It's just, I say this because I'm concerned with, obviously the direction the town's going, and I just don't want it to be, a bunch of trailers, and I mean, then that's my concern, because we're trying to get rid of that image of having trailers everywhere. And here we are getting ready to annex, a whole bunch of them. And and the 14 years is too long, but like the mayor mentioned, 14 years, but you want to add more for 14 years? So I don't know. I don't like the RV park.
I totally agree with your concerns, and I think weighing that against that we have like a real housing crunch around here, and that they need to be able to fund their projects. But so I don't know what the right answer is, but it's like.
But like I said, I like the whole thing except for this RV park portion of it.
Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, we,
Sure.
so, yeah, we usually have our discussion, then
sorry
ask,
about
but do we want to hear from the applicant on this?
Yeah,
When
let's-
we're on this topic? Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and
apologize.
trustees,
Yeah,
thank you
that's
very
right.
much for
Yeah.
having us again to meet with you. For the record, I'm Davis Farrer, Western Slope Consulting. I'm the planner for the project. And I'm here with Simone Casas, who is the owner and the applicant of the property. The conversation is helpful to us. And we made a request, and that request for the longer term, existing situation is based on financing with Mr. Casas and our phase one of the manufactured housing portion of the development. And as your Nicole mentioned, we'll be meeting with your staff tomorrow, your attorney, and hammering through. We're pretty well aware of the concerns and beyond what the ones that you're speaking to tonight. We would like some consideration of a transition, because we have folks that live there year-round, no secret about that, have for many years, and we are trying to, I think, do the right thing, bring the property into the town where it ought to be. It was at one point, and they disconnected, basically in the same configuration that they're in now. So we're hoping we can work through and come up with a mutually acceptable solution for the RV park. But there's more to the project than that, obviously. We've got our manufactured housing units, which are on lots ranging from slightly less than 4,000 square feet to slightly over 4,000 square feet. They will be either built on site or brought in as manufactured housing units. And I think you've seen, at least preliminarily, you've seen the concept of the site plan. So we're trying to work through all those details. We think we have a pretty good plan. And tonight here, we're really looking at the sketch plan for the 10 lots. And we're actually, I'm slightly revised that, will be 11 lots because your staff has asked that the river parcel, where we were gonna have an easement for fishermen's access and public access, town staff has requested that be a separate lot. We're happy to do that. So the river parcel, Sheila, do you have the sketch you could bring up? Okay, it's phasing, okay, so sketch. I don't know if you can zoom in on that or not, but that shows the original 10 lots, and then that blue area at the bottom of the screen, I tried to highlight that as a new lot, lot 11, if you will, that would be town ownership. And we think that makes the most sense, actually. So that's the only real significant change, other than I found a numbering error on our plan, and I fixed that in that version. But we would add this one additional lot, and we're happy to provide that in a revised version of the sketch at the appropriate time. So tomorrow is really the big day for meeting with your staff and working through all the concerns that have been identified in the past by the trustees, by the planning commission, and members of the public that have spoken as well. So we're hopefully we can bring you an annexation agreement that details issues like length of stay, issues like phasing, when will phase one be initiated, and our plan is to try to get that going in a reasonable fashion. Again, financing is a big part of a project like this. And then we'll work through the various improvements that have been identified by the staff and you all for the development. So I don't know if you want to go back through the PowerPoint with all the detail that we had before. Happy to do that. But maybe it's more appropriate if we just focus on your questions, comments, other issues that we should be aware of as we move forward.
I mean, I feel we don't have to go through the whole thing again unless.
So I think, so we've got two things kind of going on here. So we have this, which is our approving the sketch plan, which is basically just looking at this picture and saying, yes, it's laid out
Right.
in acceptable fashion. I don't know how much discussion you guys want to have before tomorrow's meeting about all the other concerns that may be brought up, or if we want to let you and our staff tackle this, and then we can have that discussion during the next step.
I think that might be the more efficient way to move forward, is then you can, you know, if there are other issues and concerns that we should be made aware of to bring up tomorrow, we're happy to do that. But probably the best way is for us to hammer it out, figure out where we agree, figure out where we're different, and we can even try to bring that closer in terms of agreement, and then bring it back to you all. And that's really, you know, when you're dealing with the PUD and the annexation part of it, that's the real meat and potatoes.
Meat and potatoes, yeah.
Well, that's why this is being changed to a discussion item instead of a resolution eventually,
Yeah.
is because the important part of these conversations is it lets them know where they're going before they spend all the money on all those different things. That's why we don't know those things yet, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. They could get to a point where they go, you know what, this isn't gonna work for us either, we're not doing the project. Or, yes, this is making sense, you guys are, and the nice thing is that Director Centano has, and our staff, we've had a good working relationship. They understand, she probably knows almost as well what we're gonna say before we even say it sometimes with some things. And so that would be the more efficient way, like you're saying, I think.
Yep. So I would like to say that let's focus on the sketch plan. And if anyone on the board has any questions or comments that they think staff needs to direct tomorrow, then see if you can shoot those out in an email tonight before their meeting tomorrow, and they can scan them and then have those discussions. Does that work for the applicant?
Sure.
Okay.
So on the sketch plan, you mentioned that Lot 11 is being created, and the ownership of that would be going to the town. Is that correct? That's a new.
Yeah.
That's amazing to hear, and I really commend you guys for being willing to accommodate that. And I think right, the river is one of the biggest assets that the town has, and you know where we can maintain that and continue to utilize that for economic development, tourism, the likes. That's amazing to hear that you guys are willing to do that in the application. So.
I'd also add that directly across the river, I mean, I think we go to the middle of the river. The other side is owned by the town of Silt. It's a beautiful piece of property. I was involved with the town actually when that was given to the town, so that was a good thing that came out of Stillwater, for sure.
So just to refocus it, does anyone have any questions on the layout of the parcels and their designations?
I will say it's not very clear where the bike paths will be, but I hear that that's going to be specifically enumerated when you hammer that out.
Right.
Which I like that it's specifically prescribed in the agreement that there will be the connectivity. I think that's important that we make sure that's explicitly stated. But so I have that sort of question, but on the sketch, but I feel confident that would be resolved through those discussions.
Yeah, when we had some conversation at the planning commission level about that, and there, you know, if you put a trail along the river, you kind of blocked on the west and blocked on the east, and so if you were, for example, if you came down River Frontage Road and then into that riverfront property, would that trail then continue through the water wastewater facility, or is that a bad idea? You know, those are things that your staff can weigh in and talk to us about. I mean, it might be a good location down there for a future connection, but if not, maybe something that loops in and loops back. I'm not quite sure.
No.
I'd like to keep it on the river as much as possible. We've talked with other developers along that same area to the east and told them we want to make sure that public access to the riverfront is guaranteed. That's a very limited, precious resource that we have as a community collectively. And the
Yeah, but
residents
there's that
should be
parcel
able to enjoy it.
between the KOA and Heron's Nest, though. That's privately
Yes,
owned.
yes, there is. We'll probably hear from them during the public comments.
So we'll be looking at various options and what makes the best long-term sense.
And we do have a map that we designated specifically trail. So we can, you can refer to that in your discussions as well.
Yes, we did adopt a conceptual trail master plan
For
for the
this
river area.
exact purpose.
I want to take a moment. I attended the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, just sat in the back and listened, and they did a great job of working with the applicant, going through a number of details that we've also brought up and some other ones that we haven't yet, but they're in Nicole's notes. So they've done a lot of the heavy lifting of advising the applicant on, hey, this is the stuff that's going to matter. Bike paths, some concerns about HOAs or property management, how is that going to function? The RV piece.
There was, as a comment mentioned before, the snow storage issue.
Snow.
And I think
the-
we've,
The
we'll be,
private roads and the reduced widths, I'm not gonna go too much into that, cause I know that's a pending conversation. But there was some concerns mentioned by the planning and zoning commissioners about road width and obviously emergency access, Jerry, which I know is a focus of yours. That'll be dealt with at that point in time.
Yeah, no, I understand, but if they don't meet town street standards, then I feel we should not take those over. That should be on them if they're not gonna be built to town of Silt standards.
Yep, that's.
and not to get
They're
too
gonna be
far into the
discussed.
weeds on that, we have those portions of the project where the right-of-way width, is really the big difference, is a little narrower within the manufactured housing portion of the project. We would propose that those would be private maintenance and so on and so forth. It would not be a burden of the town. The river frontage road, and then there's kind of a loop that would be constructed to town standards, and we would dedicate that to you all.
Okay.
And any of the private roads would have access easements for emergency fire and so on and so forth.
I just had a thought or a question that, just, is there any way that there could be a path put on the water plant parcel? And I only say this because I think north of I-70, I think there's like a wildlife recreation area there, and I've never walked over there to see, or even under the bridge, but if there's any way to go underneath the interstate, from the wastewater parcel with a path to get to that recreation area on the other side. And I'm just throwing that out because if you guys are trying to figure out a way to align a path, if there's any way feasible to go through the water plant parcel to get, and like I said, I've never walked there. Maybe you can put one under the interstate. Maybe you can't. I have no idea, but it's just a thought.
That's the parcel that was the old gravel pit, correct? That was
Yeah, just
on the north.
on the north
I
side,
call it-
yes.
Call it the downstream side of the bridge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it has a name, but I forget the name.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
Okay.
I've got for Nicole. Some of this is being proposed as an affordable housing district. What barriers are put in place what defines an affordable housing unit? Because I don't see anything that says it's deed restricted or lot rents are only gonna raise at X number. I mean, why are we designating an affordable housing PUD?
So that is actually on I just sent it to our attorney to review before tomorrow, but I did rewrite the plan unit development that they proposed and change that verbiage because we would have to define affordable and then there would have to be restrictions. So I'm gonna propose, which the applicants don't know yet, but I'll be proposing to change that to single family dwelling district, which is more in line with what we consider what they're doing. It's gonna be single family housing. So that'll take that affordable definition out and also release some liability from the town and the applicant to have to maintain an affordable, to define and maintain what's affordable with an ever-changing environment.
And that, you know, semantics is, I know it's important, and sometimes it's not that important, but, single family is fine too.
I just, if this board approves something with designation of affordable housing, and the Post-Independent prints a story about
Right.
affordable housing, and then
What's the definition?
it's just standard market housing, then
Right.
we get,
It comes back on us.
it gets back on us, so.
And I think the affordability comes through the type of lot, the type of unit, and so on and so forth. It's less expensive to build and construct, and we're not looking for low-quality units, but they're on smaller lots, and they're more affordable than your stick-built single-family typically.
It meets the definition of affordable as a commonly used term rather than the legal term of art,
Right?
which is a whole mess once you
It is a whole mess.
dealing with that. So,
In my
Our attorneys get involved.
yeah,
my experience, you know, I always, probably the best thing to say, relatively affordable, you
Sure,
know, compared to some other things and maybe not others.
but now apparently affordable means, like you said, then we're sort of on the hook for certain things. So if we just change the verbiage. then-
Sure, happy to do that.
And there's a separate designation elsewhere in this development for workforce housing, correct?
It's semantics, same portion of the project.
I ask because I go to a lot of these other meetings, the school district, the EDP, there are all of these different but related groups that are all talking about workforce housing. And given the makeup of this development, it's a really good concept for such a usage of housing.
Right.
Because they're already small units, they can be built affordably, and it's a great community service, not least of which for the residents that are gonna be moving in there who likely have young kids. So if you're providing housing to teachers, it's really
Right.
the definition of a win-win, as one example of workforce housing, but.
Yeah, we don't anticipate that folks are gonna be buying a second home here as a vacation home. It's gonna be folks that are working in the Silt community or the larger employment base. For sure.
I also had a weird thought, it's unrelated, and this is probably the wrong time, but I'm gonna bring it up, mailboxes. Was it River Run?
Yes.
They can't get mailboxes done. It's not apples to apples, I'm putting the term out there to the applicant and town staff.
I will say it's not,
Let's
that
not
they
have that
can't get
problem.
it done.
Okay.
It's
Let-
not
let-
being,
Can we not have that issue again?
that's,
I don't care as much about the how, I care about the what.
I'm not sure exactly how the post office handles that these days, but in the past, I know when I was in a staff position, we'd send them to the postal service and say, you know, what's your feedback? Sometimes they say you have to put gang boxes in, you know, in a big central location. I doubt they'll do individual mail.
they probably prefer to have multiple units, yeah, the gang boxes where you have the
Again, it
boxes.
came up in my reviewing
just
some
getting
old
it.
notes about other developments
Yep.
in anticipation of this, and I'm
That's a good idea.
throwing it out there for all parties because it has been a problem in the past. I don't know the exact reason why, and I don't care, I just want people to be able to check their mail.
Right.
The other thing that came up in the planning and zoning meeting was sidewalks along the river frontage road there. Trying to get CDOT to extend, because don't the sidewalks currently end before the truck stop, right?
correct.
So we want to try, with this big development coming in, there's going to be a lot more pedestrian traffic on foot, on bike, on any number of things that aren't traditional motorized vehicles. Who would be responsible for the outreach to get the sidewalk extended?
I believe there's just the missing piece at River Run. I believe it goes through Golden Gate, and then there's a missing piece at River Run, and then Tire Tech has,
Tire Tech
I don't
has
think
it.
has any, do they?
it doesn't have one?
No, Tire Tech doesn't have any in their built.
Yeah, no, they have it.
Do they?
They have it.
Yeah.
On their storage yard part of it, there's a sidewalk. In front of the shop, there isn't.
Yeah. There's another piece over there, yeah. That
It
it's
would be
broke up,
nice to
yeah.
have contiguous sidewalk availability there.
A maintained designated space for
All-
kids to walk to go to Golden Gate to get a snack, or people going back and forth to catch buses or whatever.
I was gonna say, figure out who needs to contribute, private businesses or and then we can see about grants for safe routes to school.
And
type
CDOT may be
things,
doing
maybe?
some traffic study as part of this development work or some other, it may be an opportunity for us to check a couple of boxes here for the current and future residents of the town of Silt by saying, hey, we're gonna get the sidewalk completed all the way too.
The growth on that side is what we're expecting anyways, so.
We should have safety as a part of that. And again, I'm speaking out of turn again, but I just want to get it out there in a public forum that these are the things we should be working on strategically.
Director Centeno, where else are we using the single-family zoning designation?
We have within our municipal code is listed as residential, like an R1, R2, R3, but each one of them has a different designation, either for a single-family dwelling unit, a multifamily dwelling unit, or a duplex, is how it's listed in our schedule of uses with the 3 different housing types. So the multifamily is 3 or more units, which could be apartments, townhomes, row homes, condominiums. And then the duplex is considered 2, and then the single family is 1 house.
1 house.
1 house per lot.
Lot, okay.
And in our PUD zoning text in the application, I broke out all the uses in each of the districts and changing it from, affordable housing to single family. We have our text that will support that.
Okay. Well, for me, as far as the sketch plan is presented, I'm fine with the sketch plan. I think we'll have a lot of discussion later on about the like you said, the meat and potatoes, so. Does anyone have any, we're gonna do the public hearing for this, since it is listed as one this time.
Yeah, I don't have anything else
If there's,
to add.
if there's no other discussion on the site plan, or the sketch plan itself, so. Okay. Then the time is 8:03 PM, and I'll open up the public hearing for resolution number 7, series 2026. Persons desiring to make a public comment on this agenda item, please activate the raised hand function in the meeting program. Or Sheila, any phone calls or emails in regards to this agenda item?
No, I have not heard from anyone.
All right, thank you.
I do not show any raised hands, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And would anybody in the public like to speak to this? Okay. If we could have the applicants move away from the table so that we can have the public come on up. If you'd like to come on up to the table and just state your name and address for the record, and then you'll have 3 minutes for your comments.
We're Mike and Tammy Coleman. We live at 32956 River Frontage Road, which is this little corner right there next to the blue. And, our basic concern lies with more like, I don't think this is going to be good for our property values. I mean, that's just to start out with. I mean, we got low income and lower income housing all around us. So I don't think that's gonna help us out a lot. I mean, we're not trying to put a stop to them developing their land. I'd rather see something more like Stony Ridge. I think that would probably help our property values. Other concern that we have, I mean, we all also brought up like he said, the sidewalk there between Golden Gate and Tire Tech, and lights. I mean, people walk out there all the time, and it's
You can't
just,
see 'em.
yeah, they're always wearing black. Always, it's kind of scary, but, so that would be something we'd like to see, and that's not on those guys. I mean, that's not their property. But it should be done because this is gonna be a huge impact. I think the density is, I mean, there's gonna be a lot of people out there. That's,
I think there's too much. They're
I-
trying to
I
add
mean,
too
I-
much.
I think there needs to be some sort of a definition to what a single-family house is, as far as how many people can live in a single-family house. I don't know how you guys would do that, but, I mean, I could see that getting to be a big deal. And then this, I'm not sure what the name of this road is, it says East Costa Loop. If they're going to have on-street parking on that, they need to, put in a parking lane. That road, if they leave that road the same width, it's gonna really impede our, we have a storage yard, and there needs to be enough room on that road to, get people's
Large
camera.
trailers,
Yeah, in and out.
Slide this one off.
Oh.
You can see the parking plan.
Mm-hmm.
This is the road here.
No, this is the road here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's still gonna make it too crowded.
I mean, we're concerned that the road, that it doesn't get to where it's a difficult road to get in and out of, traffic going back and forth and stuff like that. And I think that's about the extent of our concerns.
Well, I know this is a little petty, but the bike path issue. We bought this property 14, 15 years ago. We had no idea about this bike path thing. We've put extensive amount of time with Army Corps of Engineers and stuff and built our property to have a nice riverbank, and the bike path's gonna have to go around it.
Our house is 50 feet from the river.
I don't want it in front of my living room window. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're not getting a bike path in there as long as we own the property.
And that, I don't mean to be mean or anything, but we bought this property with a dream, and now all of a sudden, we're getting our dreams kind of stomped on. I want to see Simone be able to improve his property. I really would like to see that. But I just think it's too much. It's too many. And we do need to keep at least that road, because I do have a business on that property.
Okay.
That needs to.
The one other thing I would say is, the RV park has been a permanent RV park.
Since I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, people have always lived there. It's never been a weekend or RV park. So, I mean, another 14 years of that is probably not gonna, kill anybody.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Well,
Thank you.
because, I mean, like she said, she grew up here.
I was born and raised here, and that's been that kind of RV park since I've lived here.
And arguably, it's a lot nicer now than it ever was.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say it is improved over
Uh-huh.
recently.
Okay.
All righty,
Well,
thank you.
thank you very much.
That's about it.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Mike and Tammy.
Thank you.
Oh, we got one more.
Oh, okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Mike Stike. I live at Valley and Grand. I agree with those folks. I think this is too big. And one thing I have not heard is how this is going to benefit any of the existing citizens of this town. I don't see any benefit at all. It's going to crowd in this area that much more. Thank you. That's all I got to say.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. like that was everyone in the public, so if you guys want to
Okay.
come back up to the table.
Sure.
The time is now 8:10 PM, and I will conclude the public hearing for resolution number 7, series 2026, and open it up to further discussion by the board or a motion.
Just by way of disclosure, I was at the planning and zoning meeting that Mike and Tammy attended, and afterwards I suggested that they come here to speak to us during the public comments. I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. Thought it would be good feedback for us to hear.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think they're all, I mean, I think both members of the public, or all three of the members of the public that spoke tonight. I know Nicole's great at taking notes, so I'm sure all that has been written down and will be addressed to the best of the ability. I just have one question for Nicole, or it might be for Mike and Tammy, but your property is county, correct? You guys aren't part of this, okay. And then, do they share a road with this development?
They do. Yeah, they have a shared access that comes down the road that they were talking about, wanting to make sure that it was meeting the width to have a parking lane and access for a trailer to come down.
Is that the East Caddis Loop?
It's not, I mean, it's on, well, part of it, I think, is on Tire Tech's property, and part of it's on Simone's property.
Okay.
And I also, that made me just think about fire response on that road, if parking prohibits that in any way. And then their concerns about lighting, which as we're annexing and we're adding more property, I want to make sure that we have, basic safety for people with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's one thing we have to be very detail oriented with, is when it comes to annexing a piece of property and we want a sidewalk there, we either get a developer to pay for it or we pay for it, because CDOT is gonna care zero about putting anything on that road. So we can call, we can bark, we can do whatever to CDOT. That
They won't do anything.
quarter mile of sidewalk is of no interest to them. They want to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on I-70, not $10,000 on a sidewalk or whatever it may cost. So that comes down to, I mean, if you walk around town, there's many places where the town gave people the right to build without putting in sidewalks, and now that's a burden on the town to put those sidewalks in. So we have to remember, if we want sidewalks, someone has to pay for it. Any questions, comments, concerns about the sketch plan?
Not at the moment, no.
Okay. All the stuff about density, roads, trees, all that will be addressed in the annexation development agreement, so, which comes at a later date. With that, would anyone like to make a motion in regards to resolution number 7, series 2026?
Well, all right. I'll make a motion approving is this the first reading? No.
It's just a resolution.
Oh, sorry. I'll make a motion approving resolution number 7, series 2026, resolution of the town of Silt, Colorado, approving a major subdivision sketch plan for property owned by Casas Investments, LLC, located at 32958 River Frontage Road, Silt, Colorado, in Garfield County, known as the Heron's Nest annexation into the municipal boundaries of the town of Silt, Colorado.
Second.
All right. Motion by trustee Clausen, and that was seconded by trustee Seifert. All's in favor?
Aye.
All's opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much for your time, appreciate it.
Thank you, guys, yes.
Tomorrow's the
And
big
enjoy the meeting tomorrow, yes.
Enjoy might be a strong word.
Get some sleep.
Go. Next up will be the facilities assessment discussion. It's over to manager Mike.
Where would you like to start?
Numbers much smaller than what's listed.
Okay, well, being that the direction from the Board of Trustees last meeting was to look at adding space so that we could use it in the future. I'm not sure those numbers would be small. We did talk with our consulting firm, Wold Architects and Engineers, about what they see in terms of the cost of adding unused space, and they said it's about 60 to 70% of what it would cost to build it out completely. So it's an added bite. So I think there's a number of questions, and this is just really continuing a discussion, because part of this is getting you folks comfortable with some of what's going on before we start approaching the community and start building awareness of where we are. But I think there's a couple of key elements. I mean, obviously Wold came back and said, well, to accomplish all your needs and to plan for the future, you would have to spend somewhere between $28 and $32 million. That's the total building project. How quickly you spend that is a completely different discussion. We did ask Wold to look at a number of different concepts. I think we all, and even in the discussion at the last meeting, we all agreed that the first and probably biggest priority is to address the police department. They're operating out of less than 2,000 square feet, and they need roughly 8,000 square feet to be doing their work. I think that's our biggest number one concern, and then it's a balancing act between what we're going to do with Public Works and what we're going to do with Town Hall. As in their presentation, Wold did have kind of a interim step for us to refurbish and reuse this building, as opposed to building a completely new facility, which I think is probably an appropriate thing to do. As we look at selling the concept to the taxpayers, it's probably a lot easier to use this building for all it's worth, even though it's a 50-year-old building at this point. It would need some rather significant upgrades, but could that buy us 15 years, 20 years? Very possibly. Public Works, on the other hand, that's very similar to the police department's needs. Is kind of it's got to just get torn down and start over.
And we've got the equipment that's being stored outside. So
We do.
that is something else that bothers me about that. Makes it
Thankfully, we live in an arid climate, and we don't have, and we don't salt our roads. And this year, we don't have any snow. But yeah, those are all aspects that are problematic. Another question that we approached Wold with was, what is it? Okay, for every year that we delay to do something, what's the added cost? The original number they gave me was 3 to 5%. After doing some additional analysis, they came back and said you probably, because of the western slope and the economy of the western slope, you probably need to plan for 6%. So every year we delay the projects, we're adding 6% to the total cost of the facilities. Another piece that I spent some time talking with Dana Lavick at DOLA, about what grant opportunities are out there. There are a few. EIAF would be in a position that we could access some of those dollars. Obviously, we have to go through the application process, et cetera, to get them. But the way Mr. Lavick put it to me is that you could ask for $1 million for each of the 3 different facilities. So that is about a $3 million benefit or reduction in cost. I think we would be able to approach FMLD for grants for these. We would be using one of our traditional grants a year, very possibly, to help fund this. And then there was a question of an emergency operations center. I did have a conversation with Chief Sackett, and in their remodeling project that they're doing at the fire station, because they're remodeling and staying self-contained, I don't believe, and Chief was going to check on it affirmatively, but did not believe that they were adding an emergency operations center. So one of the thoughts that we had working with Wold Architects and Engineers was, could we outfit the boardroom, the board chambers, in its future makeup to be set up so that if we needed an emergency operations center, that would do it. There are grant funds for us to be able to do something like that. So these are some of the items that we've been exploring. Kind of moving on, I guess, really some of the big questions are, who's going to pay for what? How much do you look at growth and development in terms of perhaps an impact fee, putting that out there in terms of a source of revenue that can be used to offset some of the overall costs? How much do you charge the water utility? How much do you charge the sewer utility? Is the irrigation fund tapped? Is the housing authority tapped to offset some of these costs? These, the water and wastewater fund and the housing authority and irrigation, they're all enterprise funds. And they all use the services that the town provides, and they all use the facilities that the town provides. You could charge a portion of the construction costs off to those other funds. Obviously, on the PD side, it's a little hard to say, water and sewer are going to pay, 40%. The residents are really the ones that rely on the PD services more so than our enterprise funds. While they're still involved, it's probably to a lesser extent. Town hall, could you conceivably look at 40 or 50% coming from those other enterprise funds? Sure. You probably could say, I think water and wastewater and irrigation and housing authority should be, through their user rates, picking up part of this cost. Problem with all this is, at the end of the day, it's for the most part the same people paying the money. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It's the same people that are ultimately paying for it.
Yeah, the only way to get somebody else to pay for it is to get some big business in and get a bunch of extra sales tax.
Well, and sales tax, and when from the grand scheme of things, sales tax, which Colorado seems to love, is the most regressive forms of tax out there. The people with the least amount of resources are paying the same taxes as somebody with greater resources, especially if you are charging sales tax for groceries. So that's a different discussion. So we did do, Director Tucker did do some research in terms of what some other communities are doing for impact fees, and I included the City of Grand Junction. They have impact fees for fire, police, parks, recreation, and transportation. The majority of their impact fees fall to transportation, not for facilities. But a moderately sized home in Grand Junction is going to pay almost $13,000 in impact fees for those items. And on a commercial side, they're, it's 10,000, almost 10,300 per 1,000 square feet of commercial space. So that could get rather expensive. I mean, all these things, and again, this is a big balancing act when you start having these conversations of, at what point do people just say, we're not going to build in Silt?
People will have to build in Silt. There's nowhere else to build. I mean,
we also don't want to put it in a
but
situation where people choose not to annex their vacant land to Silt because the cost is so great.
the impact fees are too much.
And the impact fees are too much. So again, there is a balancing act that we have to, work our way through in terms of how we're going to move forward. I mean, bottom line is, though, a lot of what we're doing is going to be for the future.
I feel like the voters are going to end up paying for it, and we have to figure out how to get them to be agreeable to it.
And when you look at how we can raise revenues for a project like this, obviously free money's the best, and that's grants and aids, but there's limited dollars available for that. Second is growth's gonna pay for it. That's impact fees, but again, you've got to do that balancing act of where you're gonna fall. And then you're looking at either sales tax or property taxes. And what's that gonna look like? Obviously, a sales tax and a property tax will absolutely require an increase in taxes on the town residents, and therefore would require a ballot initiative. You're not gonna get away without doing that, because and I'll say it again, town of Silt is operating on the lowest sales tax in Garfield County. Ours is 3%, everyone else, all the other incorporated municipalities are higher than that. So from a sales tax perspective, even though it's a tax, there's actually some room to grow. Some folks might not agree with that. But, generally a 1% sales tax is gonna generate around $600,000 to $700,000 for the town of Silt. On a borrowing basis, if you do the most expensive version of this, and you did it all at one shot, your debt payment a year would be about $1.3 million. Well, 1% sales tax doesn't pay that.
But 2% sales tax.
Is probably unrealistic. So,
Closer,
again,
but not
these are all the things that we're gonna have to have continued
right.
discussions on. I'm just kind of laying out some of the challenges that we have as we kind of go through, looking to, kind of get some additional feedback. Some additional things that we asked Wold architects and engineers to give us some idea on is there a way for us to cut some of these costs down? I asked about modular building. They thought that we could probably, instead of building a standard stick-built construction for Public Works, we could do a modular for their offices and probably save some dollars. I asked the question about for police department. Off the top of their head, they'd never seen a police department built in a modular construction. So they were unsure on whether that would be feasible, because police facilities have a different grade of construction, and they're much more costly to build. So didn't think we could get there. We also talked about, could we phase the garage portion, the heated storage that we were talking about building? I think if you remember correctly, it's about 19,000 square feet of heated storage. Could we do half of it to begin with if we're building for the future? The answer was yes. They thought that, but sadly, the heated storage is the cheap part of the construction. They thought that would save maybe $2 million off the total cost of the project. But as we talk about all these things, similar to the discussions that you had throughout the water treatment plant process, it's a matter of trying to bring this down into bite sizes where it works for the community, but then gets us to our end goals into the future. So with that, I'm happy to answer any additional questions or any discussion points that the board wants to have at this juncture.
I have a quick question.
Are we? Yeah, go ahead.
Have you reached out to Sustainable Strategies, Deborah?
Yes.
And she did not provide any additional grant opportunities. They're just
She's
not
the one
out
that
there.
came up with the Emergency Operations Center.
Okay.
I mean, we could hold off on the public works portion until we acquire the Roy Moore parcel, and that might change the footprint of things, and who knows? It might change a lot of things, I don't know. Or maybe it won't. I know
It
that
won't
the school
change the
district
cost.
doesn't sell, but I
It
have
won't
to bring it
change
up
the
every once
cost
in a while.
of the construction.
Yeah, just a building in a different location, still.
Yes, well, the covered, yes, the heated storage, yes, but the covered parking, we could probably do without, because I was reading the list of vehicles. One was, F-150 Eddie Bauer. That truck's a 1996. We don't need to cover that truck. Come on. I'm just saying, there are some things that don't need to be covered.
And that's why you would phase the,
Yeah.
you know, the heated storage in particular, and then maybe phase some of the other outbuildings.
Do you know, what's the sales tax for Newcastle or Rifle?
Newcastle, I believe, is 3.8. Rifle, I thought, was 4.2.
Yeah, just rough numbers. That's
Yeah.
helpful. Thank you.
Have we lost our meeting?
Did they go home for the night?
Nope, we have not lost our meeting.
You're still here.
Our screens went dead.
Oh, that's not good.
They're
They're
back.
back. They're back. So there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot to noodle our way through. This is a very early step in the process. You know, I think in the last meeting when Wold presented their information, they talked about kind of some of the next steps. Obviously, we have to come up with a funding plan. We have to come up with a building plan. Then we have to come up with kind of how we're going to fund that and the mix that we're going to try to put together for that funding plan. And then you got to take it to the voters. And obviously, there's an election this year. I would be very hard pressed to say that we would be in a position by July that we would be comfortable taking it to the voters in 2026. So we're already looking at probably 2027 as the earliest that you're going to be in a position to say, all right, here's the plan we've really developed. This is what it's going to cost, and this is where we want to go, and this is what we're asking the voters to cover. I think our first step at this point is for us to go through the process and the brain damage of doing a study to look at what the impact fee would be for these facilities. And my suggestion is that we have to base the impact fee on what the ultimate build-out basically is. So one of the higher numbers, but someplace in that range. Then you have to, the impact fee methodology is relatively simple. You take your building for the future plan, you subtract out what your existing deficiencies are. Then you have to basically look at what your existing town is, what the growth is going to be, and then you ultimately take that growth value of the total building construction less the deficiencies and divide it out by what's going to happen in the future, and that becomes your impact fee. And I think that's one of the first steps that we have to go through, because the impact fee should be put in place sooner rather than later, now that we have the idea of what this is going to cost, because we do have a number of developments that are coming forward.
So that's like burdening, I mean, that, if it were to all be in impact fees, hypothetically, I'm just trying to understand this conceptually. So like if it were all to be absorbed by impact fees, then would that mean that basically all the new residents would be shouldering the burden?
Correct.
So, I mean, that sounds kind of nice if you're a current citizen, but I mean, you are benefiting as well. So we could structure it to where it was like burdened by various groups.
Yeah. So just as an example,
proportionally.
right now, we're operating at less than 2,000 square feet for the police department. Based upon kind of averages, you need about 410 square feet per employee. We have 11. So we really have not just building deficiency, we have a space deficiency of 3,000 feet. And if the total facility is 4,000 or 8,000 square feet, really half of the future police station needs to be borne by the existing taxpayers, because we should have 4,000 square feet now. And so you can't necessarily put that on the impact fee. So that's kind of generally how a calculation would look like utilizing the police. When it comes to town hall, We have a deficiency in our existing space. We don't have enough conference rooms. Community development doesn't have enough room. We have some spatial inefficiencies in the building, but we're not horribly low in terms of what space we need to operate our current community. So a lot of the expense of building that out could necessarily fall to the growth, because there aren't a lot of deficiencies in terms of what we have. We have building deficiencies. You have to take those off because growth doesn't need to pay for a new boiler system in a 50-year-old building or new mechanicals. So,
Well, I like that thought process, because if we are gonna burden people with increased financial burden to pay for this stuff, that feels thoughtful and fair and distributed proportionally to, as much as we could do that,
the methodology needs to have a rational nexus to get from point A to point B so that we can defend it.
And I like that you can break it down like that. I appreciate that. So I'm learning these things as we go here a little bit.
Or we start playing the lottery and hopefully we hit.
I think, as you mentioned, the impact fee is important because of the future development that is coming online. The longer we wait to have that discussion or look at putting something in place, all that development that does come through and get approved and doesn't pay, those are funds we're leaving on the table that could help to start to lower this. I do agree that I think this should be shared amongst a lot of different opportunities that we can spread it out, so not just new residents, but existing other revenue sources, wherever we can tap in. But getting something like this right in the code on operating is just going to benefit us at any point in time. Now, obviously, how that's crafted, what it's specifically going to fund, I think there's a lot more pieces that need to be kind of fleshed out there. But yeah, I think this is an important discussion to start to have, especially with the future kind of development that we're looking to see to come on. So.
What are current water and sewer tap fees? Roughly.
13, roughly 13 for water and 9 for sewer.
We're talking 1,300.
And then there's, what's our,
We have construction impact, which changes per location.
right, and then we also have a park and rec.
Yeah.
Right. So then you add another, so you add another impact fee, and you have, we keep telling people that we want to see affordable housing, but you're 40 grand into fees before you stick a shovel in the ground.
Right.
40 to 60 grand, yeah.
That is the problem with impact fees, and then trying to balance that with affordable workforce housing. Because, and we keep doing this to ourselves, and the energy code adds another $10,000 to your home, and then the building code adds another X dollar amount, because we keep adding things like charging stations to all houses.
And when you say we, that's not the town of Silt, that's the government.
It's the global government. We. It's the royal we of all government. And
I just don't want people thinking, if they heard that
Right.
statement, all of a sudden, we're making them do that.
there are unintended consequences to these policies. Or there's intended consequences, and then there's unintended consequences to the policy discussion. And there are many communities that take impact fees, and then they reduce them for developments that would be termed affordable, because they're trying to get back to that affordability.
Right.
It reduces the amount of money you're going to generate on the impact fees, so that puts the burden back to others, but it also doesn't eliminate the affordability question.
We could sliding scale.
The never-ending
It's a vicious circle to try and build,
Yeah.
We definitely want to stay on top of it, though. We don't want to be in a spot like where weren't charging enough for tap
Yeah, yeah.
fees and things.
Yeah.
Because we were trying to be affordable.
Right.
But then we needed a water plant, and all of a sudden it was like, wait, now we have to do this, and it was
Now we're in
a
trouble.
shock for
Yeah.
people.
I think we have to, I see us going police department first. Police department exits this building. This building, unfortunately, is probably a remodel to get through the next 15 or 20 years. And Public Works is looking at, I'm not saying like modular construction, but maybe a modular office building for a few years to get them by. They have some really nice modular offices out there now that are offices and bathrooms and showers and a full facility. I agree with Chris. Maybe right now covered parking's not a priority. Luckily, we don't have salt and all that stuff that was listed. But there's no way that 28 to 32 million is going to be raised to do it all simultaneously.
Right.
And I think it's going to be a huge task to even get. I think you can get citizens on board with impact fees or property tax increases for a police department, but for town hall and public works, it's going to be a tough sell.
Right. Maybe we should present it all in one, as one big thing, like the way it was presented to us.
Yes.
And then everyone kind of has to chew that over, and then we're like, okay, now we'll just start with the police.
But we can do just this.
And it feels
Yeah.
sometimes psychologically that, it needs to happen.
Yeah.
So,
I think as this moves forward to the public, there needs to be a thoughtful community engagement to have, bring all this information to them. And I mean, just hearing some of the stories of what staff's dealing with, some of the needs and cost concerns, and there are definitely things, we're balancing here. I agree. I think public safety is an easier sell to the community and one that, many residents appreciate having that. I think, they might have a less appreciation for, a town hall, but a lot of the services or other things that they aren't directly utilizing, come from the people that work in this building. So I do want to get that story out there as well, so they understand. Same for Public Works as well. It's not front of mind, but there's a lot of benefits from the people working out there that the town receives. So,
yeah, great points. But even with this building, there's like ADA concerns, fire code, safety concerns, which, we can sell that.
Yeah.
Not as easily as police station, probably.
We'll keep plugging away, and we'll keep bringing information back as we come up with it, and we'll start the process of really kind of looking at the impact fees and trying to get through that piece of it. And again, similar to the water plant, it's a matter of trying to chunk this out so that we can get from where we are today to where we need to be. And I think everyone, and I haven't heard any dissension, the number one priority is we have to build a police station.
One of them building the police station does open up some square footage in this building when the remodel's done in this building to take care of some of those things.
Yes.
Granted, there's challenges still to that area, but it is what it is.
There are challenges to this building.
Yes.
But this is a 50-year-old building, and, it's, well, I shouldn't say 50, it's 40 years old. 40-year-old buildings were not built for what we're doing in them now. This building was not built for microphones, TVs, all the internet connection,
Wasn't pre-wired with the
connectivity
Ethernet
stuff. They
cables?
just they're not set up for it.
But not realistic to think we could get something on the ballot this year.
We could put something on the ballot this year,
Not something
but I don't
coherent.
think we wouldn't do it justice to get the public well-informed. Well, number one, engage the public, get them well-informed so that we would put a question out there that would have a chance of being approved. I think if you rush this and put it on the ballot, my guess would be it goes down in flames, and then If you go back
fighting
the
an
next
uphill
year,
battle.
you're fighting even more of an hill battle because.
All they're doing is asking for money every year.
Well,
Yeah, because they're remembering the water plant still.
well, they're remembering the water plant. They're remembering that they already said no once.
Yeah.
Yep.
We need buy-in, not blowback.
Correct.
Right.
Sounds like fun.
Well, you sound like you are thinking of all the things.
We're trying.
It's part of the reason why you got the job. He's good at that stuff.
You did a good job. Give him Jim.
Okay. We good on that one?
We're good on that one.
Okay.
Amy just told me we were good on it because
Okay.
the alarm went off.
The alarm went
The
off.
alarm
It wasn't the Hunger Games.
Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
music.
Police chief recruitment update.
The application process closed this morning at 8 a.m. We are in the process of reviewing the applications that we did receive. At the end of the day, we received 6. We are going to go through a process where we're going to ask each of the candidates to provide us some written responses to questions. Then we'll probably hold a Zoom interview with each of the candidates to bring that number down to 4. And then on March 4th, there will be an all-day assessment by professional police leaders and an exercise followed by a kind of citizen meet and greet in the evening. I should mention in there also that there'll be a moderated interview panel with the existing department. Then on March 5th, you guys are on. There will be 2 additional interview panels. One will be a community stakeholder panel, members of the community, and then because the Board of Trustees is the decision maker, I need you all here to sit for interviews that day.
So March 5th?
Time?
March 5th.
March 5th.
Our tentative
Here's the day off.
schedule is that we would start the first interview at 9:30 a.m. and we would conclude sometime around 3:30, 4 o'clock.
In there right now.
Okay. I took that day off, so I'll be here.
Good. That's your update.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Any questions on that, or are we all good? Okay. Manager and staff reports.
Oh. What do I want to point out tonight? I have to talk a little bit more about the mayor's meeting last Monday evening and transportation. I think you're all aware that there's a funding problem with the Hogback transportation route that RAFTA has asked us to solve. We have put forth a concept to solve that funding issue that involves a reallocation of county resources, part of their 1% sales tax that they collect. It would also require both Silt and Rifle to increase their contributions to RAFTA. And it would probably more importantly add a third piece to that, which is increasing service and the route that the Hogback takes, which would include service to CMC, Grand River, and that whole south area in Rifle, so that the route would be more beneficial to everyone, but it would also completely close the donut hole that we have in the middle of the day, so that bus service would be running throughout the day, not just in the morning and in the evening. RAFTA did explain at that mayor's meeting that they do have a new bus service that's running through at about noon each day. So there is a midday bus now, which is that's an important aspect, because what it used to be is you get to Glenwood, but you couldn't get back until late in the afternoon, or you could get to Rifle, but you couldn't get back until, if you went in the morning, you couldn't get back until the evening. So that was a service delivery problem. Overall, it was I think it was well received by the mayors last week. I think Rifle is somewhat energized, and they're going to be talking about it Wednesday evening. They have a joint meeting with the county board. Transportation is one of the issues that is on the docket. They've asked me to attend that. I don't know if Derek or Mayor, you want to join me?
If I'm available.
Okay.
Can I interject for a moment?
Yes, you may.
It was well received by all people in the room. So Kurt from RAFTA was there. Commissioner Sampson, Commissioner Will were there. Vinny, who's the Economic Development Director for the town of Parachute, were there. This is not a fully formed idea, but everybody in the room was impressed with the concept that Jim has come up with.
Part of the concept is that the county can go to the voters this fall and say, without raising taxes, we're reallocating some of our resources in our 1% sales tax. So the way the county sales tax is currently configured, 48% of it is retained by the county for general operations. The other 52% is distributed to three groups. One is the municipalities get a piece of that, the Communications Authority gets a piece of it, and Garfield County Libraries gets another piece of it. The majority of my proposed structure would be the amount that's going to Garfield County Libraries would be cut by a little over, almost 2.1 million, because Garfield County Libraries in 2006 approved a 1 mil levy for capital that sunsets this year. Garfield County could go to the voters and say, without raising taxes, re-up our 1 mil levy and we'll be made whole. County can go, without raising taxes, we're going to reallocate our sales tax to address some different priorities within the county. The fund that would be created for transportation would fund the county's portion of the Traveler, would fund the Hogback, and would also fund PATS. Both the Traveler, the county's funding of the Hogback, and PATS are coming out of their 48%, so they're coming out of that part that they reserve for their general fund. So that would free up dollars for the county's general fund. But it would fund those three items, plus there would be somewhere in the $900,000 range that would be able to be distributed elsewhere in the county for other transportation initiatives. So it could go to Carbondale, it could go to Glenwood, it could go to Newcastle, it could go to any number of things that the county board would then say that's part of the transportation priority that we're going to spend that money on. So it's county-wide benefit. Garfield County Library takes the brunt of the hit, but they also have the ability to go to the taxpayers without raising taxes, keep our 1 mil levy. That's kind of the big picture of it all. One of the things and I'll say it to you guys, I've said it to Rifle, I said it to the mayors, this is not for anybody but Silt and Rifle to really solve. If we want the Hogback to continue going up and down, east to west, it's for us to solve that funding solution. I want to solve it with some improved service, and I'm trying to solve it without necessarily having a much larger impact on our taxpayers.
So on that note, just to let you know, it usually runs, I've seen started about between noon, usually when I go down for lunch, but there's been between 2 to 6 people every day.
Yeah, I want to say it hits down here at 12:08.
I just looked at the schedule.
I know today, I think it was like 12:20 we went down, but yeah, there's been between 2 and as many as 8 people there now, using it, so it is getting used.
And one of the things about the hogback is 50% of its ridership comes from Silt and Rifle. Of that 50%, 18% is Silt and about 82% is Rifle. So that's that's kind of the makeup of the ridership. This builds kind of proof of concept that, hey, that hogback can serve more than just going up and down Highway 6. I think it's important for us to make sure it's got access. People have access to CMC campus. I think it's very important for our residents to be able to get over to Grand River Health. And I think it's beneficial, even though I wish we keep suggesting to Rifle that they need to do some sales tax sharing, but it's important for people to get over to the retail establishments over in Rifle south of the interstate as well.
No, I like where that's going.
More to come on that one. And with that, I will stop talking before I might be murdered by my clerk and finance director.
All right.
I didn't even start the timer.
There you go.
She knew it was hopeless.
Okay. All right. Any other manager or staff reports?
We do have birthday cake at the end of the table for Derek tonight.
Wait, I'm older?
Which Derek?
Surprise.
Surprise. Nice.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm gonna send some information about the flock cameras. Should I send it to you, Chief? Should I send it to you, Jim? Should I send it to both?
You can send it to
Okay.
both.
And it sounds like the review is underway. I don't want to make a bunch of public comments. I'd rather just send the information to both of you, let you think through it, and then use that in your own follow-up with the vendor and see what the best next step is.
You mentioned that, and if you watched the Super Bowl last night, you also learned that Ring is now tracking your dogs.
Yeah, but yeah,
It
just
has
dogs,
the,
though.
if you
Good luck with that.
opt in and all the other things and whatnot.
So they say.
So they say. Okay. All right, if there's nothing else from manager and staff reports, then we'll do board comments and future agenda items. Trustee Clausen?
All right. I will go. Out of curiosity, I see that lot on 9th Street is staked.
They have an approved duplex building permit.
Oh, okay. Nice. I do want to mention speeding on Grand Avenue, but not the entire stretch, because I take the dog out to walk where Camarillo is because he loves to roll in the dirt. But that stretch there doesn't appear to have any speed limit signs, and I see people just, hauling down there, and I don't know if we need to put speed limit signs there or make Grand and Pickett a four-way stop, just to control the speeders. But that one stretch, through Camarillo, or, that borders Camarillo of Grand, it's like a raceway. I always see people just flying down that section of road. And that's when I thought.
That's not the only.
Well,
All streets in the town.
the part I've observed.
All streets in the town are 25 miles an hour unless posted.
Yeah.
So, are you asking us to put 25-mile-an-hour speed limit signs up?
One
or
or two.
special enforcement?
One or two, or just put a four-way stop there at the intersection. That'll stop them from speeding.
Or we could move those roving trailers over there for a spout.
Yeah. But yeah, I just noticed that you have a huge stretch without a speed limit sign.
We'll discuss what we might be able to do and report back.
Yeah, and then I guess, to the citizens out there, the OHVs, yes, we allow you to ride them on the streets, but this isn't a racetrack. Like Community Park, I saw one guy, he was going through the stop signs. He was going around the whole block, around the whole block like it was a racetrack. And I stopped him, and I'm like, dude, you can't be doing this. You're not even stopping at the stop signs. And he had, not on the front, but on the rear, he had red and blue lights. And I was like, you can't be having those red and blue lights.
Seriously?
Yeah, he had them on the back. He didn't say, well, I said, if you keep this up, I'm gonna call the cops. And he actually parked it. He actually parked it, and I never saw him
You can't have
the
red
rest
and
of my
blue
walk.
lights. You're an emergency vehicle. That's,
Yeah,
because if he tries to do something and if he acts in the way of a police officer that's impersonating a police officer, I need to know those things.
yeah. Okay, so anyway, he was the house at the corner of 4th and Ballard is where he was. You couldn't see him when he was driving towards you, but when he was driving away from you, you could see the red and blue lights. And the red light was solid, but the blue lights were flashing. And
That's
it's
the
like,
problem.
yeah, and I was like, dude, you can't be doing that. So, but he actually stopped. But to the citizens out there, it's like, well, we're going to take that privilege away from you if you abuse it.
Well, it's already, I got called into the lobby, reference youngsters going through the stop sign, almost got schmucked by a car because they were on their little mini bikes and electric bikes. Almost all of us simultaneously pulled over a guy on a kind of a motocross type doing wheelies right in front of the officer. So obviously took enforcement action. We were trying to see who could get to him first, but
Well, thanks for that information. And yes, the next time I see it, I'll immediately, let you know.
can't do anything. You know, you can
Yeah.
talk all about it, but I gotta know those things.
All right. And I want to thank whoever got. I know the one pole at the East Roundabout is still down, but all the other lights work. So I want to thank whoever got those lights working. Thank you, because I mean it's a safety issue. So I mean now you can see around the whole roundabout. So thank whoever did that. And I just had the code rewrite. I know it's planned to be this year, but is there a time frame?
We're in the process of trying to hire a planner right now that will be charged with helping us through that process.
Oh, okay. All right.
That application is open currently through the end of February.
Okay. All right. And that's everything I have tonight.
All right. Trustee Seifert.
I don't think I have anything.
Mayor Pro Tem.
It would be nice to have a code committee meeting. I think we've missed 3 months now, and that was okay then, but we talked offline that there were some quick hit things that we may not need that planner for last week after planning and zoning that we could probably do in one meeting in terms of some of the rituals that we associate with development, that we could remove some of those steps and streamline others. So that's something we may not need that planner to wait for. I would urge us to get at least re-engaged so we can do some of the easy stuff while we're waiting for them to help us with the hard stuff, because there's a lot to do. The only other thing I had a question, how are we doing on RFPs for the website project?
We have a bunch, but I also have a plethora of questions I have to answer.
Just for my own sake, a plethora is a lot, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's it for me. Actually, I want to again give credit and props to Jim for working on the transportation issue. This is something he took on. It was very well received last week at the mayor's meeting. It was well received by the transportation group this morning. It's still amorphous. A lot of it is TBD, but this is the first real swing anyone has actually taken at a longer-term solution. And it all relies on Jim's effort and expertise so far, so thank you for all the time and effort. And that's it.
Trustee Sanchez.
Yeah. The Silt Library Branch Manager, Brenda Ramirez, reached out to me. She's doing interviews of community members, business owners. They had done this several years back, and they wanted to do a refresh. It's just a couple of questions. So I did recommend reaching out to the trustees. I think she might have reached out to all of you and some town staff. That report will be brought back to us, and I think it's just a great community survey to see what their concerns are, what they're liking to see. They're obviously seeing how the library can enhance programming, but again, I think it's just a great snapshot of the community for us to see eventually. So if you have an opportunity to take advantage of that. There's a street light down on Ponderosa and Harness, right at the corner. So after Chris said it, it's right there. It's kind of a safety concern as well. So I don't know if somebody can take a look at that. And I did see in the newsletter that the town is putting out, there's a reminder about parking 30 feet away from a stop sign. And along that same corner, I don't know how the town approaches, but there's usually cars after the stop sign, both turning left and right. And it's pretty dangerous. You have to really get out into the street to be able to see. I know right down here by the liquor store, they had kind of blocked off an area so you can get good visuals on oncoming traffic either way. So just kind of a discussion maybe of obstructing views. I'm sure that's not the only area in the town. And I don't know what we can do. I'm sure, right, painting a curb is a pretty easy fix to hopefully alleviate some of that. But at some point, I don't know if we could have a discussion or if town can look at that and see where maybe some of those quick improvements can be done.
I will tell you that we will be starting a curb painting program this year to start marking some of those curbs in that 30-foot yellow. But we certainly can have a broader discussion. I mean, I think we have a broader discussion to talk about parking anyway.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. Just, where, it's obstructing views, where you're having to really get out into the street and can't see oncoming traffic. That's definitely an immediate concern. But I know, that parking is a larger discussion. So glad to hear that's in the works. And that's all I have.
Trustee Engelhardt.
I don't think I have anything tonight.
Trustee Britnell.
I'm excited to officially announce that this Sunday, from say 10 until we're done, there will be a sanctioned by the state Colorado Horseshoe Pitching Association tournament. Currently have 20 players that we're expecting to have, so we'll have 4 classes. Players ranging from people that throw 40 to on the top end of 40% ringers, which is so one out of or almost every other shoe is a ringer, which is crazy. Down to we have some players that are more recreational that are in the 4 out of every 100 shoes. So it's range of things, but it's something that even if you don't, obviously people can't be participating because you have to be sanctioned to play in it. But people come down, watch, hang out. We'll have a lot of stuff going on. It'll be fun.
Nice.
It'll be exciting to have and kind of a neat opening for the new shelter that should be finished by then is what I've been told. So
Repeat the date.
great. This next Sunday. Just Sunday afternoon, pretty much Sunday all day.
Nice. Camarillo's just gonna get picked on tonight. So great looking subdivision, nice roads, really nice trail going from the lower part to the upper part. That's asphalt. It's great, but it's wide enough to fit a car up. So I was out there this weekend and there's tire tracks going from the lower up that path to the upper road. So while it's a beautiful path, we might have to put some bollards or something in the middle of that to keep traffic from going up there because it is 8-10 feet wide. So, and then whatever came of the driveway that was being attached to Camarillo to go to the house to the north of it. I thought maybe Chris.
Yes, I
brought that up,
mentioned
yeah.
that, and I think Jim found out. Because the guy thought he had an easement, remember? And you said he didn't?
He did not. That easement actually ended up being the opposite. He didn't have an easement from Camarillo. Camarillo had an easement from him. And it was discovered that his legal access is actually going to be on the east side of Camarillo Phase 1. There's that road that goes up on the other side.
Okay.
And that's his legal access.
So that the dirt road coming off, I don't know, the loop, the little cul-de-sac, there's a dirt road that goes up.
There's a dirt road on the east side of that.
Okay, and that's his legal.
Yeah,
access?
they have to get some easement agreements or access easement agreements to be able to access their property, but their legal access was not through the town.
Okay.
So it's through they're a county parcel and their access is through the county.
Okay, so is that dirt road going to be paved? Because otherwise, if they're going up and down, that's going to drag dirt and mud all over that subdivision.
The dirt road, so there's the new phase of Camarillo, and then there's the existing one that loops around.
Yeah, so there's a dirt road
Further
out of the
down.
north end of the new Camarillo.
That is not gonna be illegal access for anybody.
Okay.
Yeah. The only access that's gonna lead through, because eventually there's gonna be a house there. But I think I know what you're talking about.
It looks like a really nice road right now.
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
up to a
Yes.
detention pond.
This is going up, okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that they weren't, if
Yeah,
that
so
was
that
gonna be
won't
used
be
as
a
a
through
road, it
road
was
for
not gonna be.
anybody.
Okay,
Yeah, it's, their legal access is gonna be on the east side of the first phase. So the houses that are already built, there's already access for a
Oh,
couple of
okay,
properties up there. That's where they're gonna have to access through.
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Then the only other thing I have, and I know it's a ways out, and I'm not sure the dates were right on Facebook by Newcastle, that the US 6 highway, the bridge going into Newcastle is gonna be it's gonna be closed March 26th through April 2nd, which is gonna affect Silt residents going that way, and then it's gonna affect traffic at night. So I didn't know if we could possibly have a flagger at the top of the on-ramp, because we're gonna have twice as much traffic trying to get off at Silt at night.
I'll talk with CSP
and see if we can do something. It's still a month away, but a little bit of planning might help everyone's commute just a little bit, so. Other than that, I got nothing else, so. Next item is adjournment.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by trustee Seaver to adjourn the meeting, second by trustee Britnall. All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thanks for joining us, Mike. Were you out driving the Land Cruiser this weekend?
What's that?
You driving the Land Cruiser?